Melbourne Carnage with the first point of the game.
Sanger unable to make the difference and keep that close proximity with his offensive player, letting him get it.
Fishwick must be a little bit pleased with that defensive point though. Getting the turn twice, but just their offense on the turn, looking a bit disjointed, pushing a few hucks, pushing a few discs down. Be good to see Mikey Hatfield, looks like he's back up and running, so we hope to see him back in the game soon. We see this Melbourne Carnage team, quite a young team, especially their D-line, looking to really bring that athleticism to this game. Big huck from Wilson. That pull fielded by O'Reilly. Swings to Dow. There is a wealth of experience amongst those two. But hits Young on the sideline. Young, like his name suggests, is one of the youngest players on this team. Still at the under-18s level, but he's trusted to do the work on this O-line for Fishwick, speaking to his development over the past few months. This is down the disc. Big huck comes up. Looking for Wrigley. Wrigley's going to try body out, try read it. Hits with the right hand. Has the second sniff. Not quite ends the call. It's a good read from Wrigley there. Looks for the break throw to Young, not quite on. Clark's in the area. Doesn't want him. Hits Gentle. Gentle to Clark. And Clark dropping the disc. Having to jog off. Smooth as you like from the Fishwick O-line there.
Very smooth, patient offense. Definitely showing a mix of both experience and young blood that's willing to run and take careful, communicated shots.
Yeah, the Fishwick O-line, great mix of experience and youth. We see players like Gentle, Dow, and O'Reilly really taking on the handler load, but relying on their young, athletic cutters. We've seen Young, we saw Clark, seen Wrigley really getting free in those spaces, and that's what they're going to want.
These two teams both having very experienced coaches. You've got the coach for Fishwick unit called Hannah Monty, having played on the Firetails and Canberra Freeze, having represented Australia a couple different times, really showing her wealth of experience and knowledge. And then Dan Rule coaching Hoss Carnage, being both a coach for the Australian Crocs and Dingoes and coaching them through to a couple medals, as well as being on the AFTA committee and the high performance officer manager for AFTA.
Yeah, battle of the coaching minds here maybe as well. Who can coach their teams to victory, Hannah Monty or Dan Rule. Big battle as they're hitting it out. Huge pull comes up from Spendle-Windle. He's been unleashing some absolute ripper pulls this weekend. Williams with the disc now, expect him to see it a lot. Big high throw comes up. But Hoss managing to bring it down, and another big huck. Going there, Hatfield's trying to read it. Oh, but he's unable to go up at the right time. And Rabber with the goal in the end zone. Bit of a spike there, he's pleased with that one. There we go, getting some hugs, getting some cheers from his teammates. That's a big point from them. Hatfield looking a bit disappointed he was unable to read that, but the wind playing tricks on him. Letting that disc sit up a little more than he maybe thought it would. Let's see how that big, beautiful shot from Hoss. And Rabba able to read it well. Safe 2 hands under it. We can see this throw sitting in that wind. But Hagloff reading it best and sending that big shot up.
Hoss being really lucky, having a double take at both those times, being able to take it down with a second receiver in Johan Hagloff, and then again in the end zone, having another go at it, Christopher Rabba.
Yeah, we can see this Fishwick O-line coming out. Here we see the Fishwick O-line coming out. O'Reilly with the disc. Putting a lot of those backhand fakes. Hitting back to Gentle. Back to O'Reilly now, and they're working it through. Hoss has come out in a cup zone. Pommy zone, looking to force it to one sideline. But Fishwick, they've got some experienced handlers here as Gentle puts up a beautiful hammer to Dow. Dow, a very nice big receiver for those throws. And Dow returning the favour with a scuba to Gentle. They're just playing catch at the moment. As Isaac Jacobs, one of the huge promising talent coming out from Canberra, coming back, receiving the disc. Very tight cut by Hoss here as Gentle hits Bell. And they swing it out to this far sideline, really exploiting the whole space in this field. And Bell hops it into the end zone. That was some smooth as butter offense from this Fyshwick unit team. Maureen, what are we seeing that point?
We're seeing a lot of patience with the more experienced handlers, willing to work it through and also willing to take those higher risk shots, but trusting their younger receivers downfield, having really athletic receivers such as Bell, who you know quite well, having lived with him for a bit. Can you tell us more about him? Because he doesn't necessarily have a direct Frisbee background. He comes from a multitude of different sports, doesn't he?
Yeah, Bell's one of those jack of all trades. He's played a lot of AFL, played a lot of soccer, but he's recently really gotten into Frisbee, and he's one of those pure athletes in the sport, so we can expect to see him being one of those big receivers on this Fyshwick unit line. But they're replete with a bit of young talent up and coming, this Fyshwick unit. So we can see they're really hoping their young players can pull it out this game.
For sure, with Fyshwick unit having quite a couple of Thunder Boys, having done the under-20s campaign in 2018 together, having those connections, and then you have the older connections between O'Reilly.
We can see that with Spenderwindle on the pull. Big arching pull, going to be fielded by Waller.
Unit coming down and applying pressure straight away.
Yeah, unit in this matchup defense.
Taking away the backhand.
Yeah, Mac with the disc now. Manages to feed it past the bidding Chew. And Spenderwindle jumps the lane. Sticks out the right paw and says, not in my house.
He is a tall, lanky boy, able to use that arm span and that wingspan just to pop into the way and not give him the opportunity to get the disc.
Hatfield swings it to Chew. Chew hits Spenderwindle coming up. Spenderwindle doing a large amount of the work for this Fyshwick D-line.
Chew, a very experienced player, very quick.
Yeah, very agile player, Chew. Wearing quite an oversized kit this weekend, but he's pulling off the look. And the disc goes up line.
Towing it in. That is a goal.
And Hatfield managing to feed it up, cramming it in the cram hole there for the first break of the game to Spenderwindle. Spenderwindle really running that offense this point, and he is fired up.
It's definitely a comment made earlier by Coach Monty, saying that they were fired up and ready to go against this Hoss team, that they thought that this would be one of their hardest matchups, and it's definitely looking like it'll be a game of trades.
Yeah, Hatfield with that low pivot, and Spenderwindle with those twinkly toes, keeping it in the end zone.
Unit and Carnage both having come out of their earlier games this morning with a win. Fyshwick winning against Wollongong 15-3, cleaning up the board with that one, and Carnage having won 14-7 in their earlier game.
Yeah, this is the semi-finals. We're expecting big things from both teams. Neither wants their season to end at this point. They both want to be moving through to the finals, but sadly only one team can do it.
Disc coming up.
Big pull from Dow. That is huge. Sitting in the wind.
Will it stay in or will it fly out? It's looking like it's flying out. Out it goes.
Yeah, the
Brick
wind
is called.
The wind just pushing that disc a little bit further out than Dow would want. Be disappointed with that one, allowing Hoss to set up right on that brick mark. Right in the middle where they want to be. Wilson with the disc now.
Chew on the mark. Bell shutting down or trying to shut down that reset. With Gill trying to shut down that first shot.
Dishy shot. Gill trying to follow him. Big throw comes up. Unit and a Hoss player under it. On a big grab. 55. Brendan White bringing that disc down in the end zone over Hatfield.
Hatfield throwing his hat to the ground, being unhappy with that result. Quite frustrated.
Yeah, it was a big floaty throw from Hoss, relying on their athleticism to bring it down in the end zone. Some of their big boys making big plays.
Gill overbidding a tiny bit, allowing the Hoss Carnage player to have that backhand, and that backhand just sits beautifully into the end zone, waiting for the receiver.
Yeah, nice clean bid by White, taking it up over Hatfield.
And again, it's just a beautiful shot.
Yeah, Unit will have to be worrying about that Hoss deep game. Have to try to take them out of the game, but they did get a sniff on that one. You can see how close Hatfield got. Big right paw sticking out for it. White, disc in the air.
Bit of a height difference between Hatfield and that Carnage receiver. Carnage receiver having a bit of that height advantage and potentially giving him that advantage in terms of a vertical jump, despite Hatfield being a very athletic receiver.
A big pull coming up, Wilson, but once again, those outside in pulls getting pushed by this crosswind and pushed just out of bound. And Fyshwick Unit going to bring it in on the brick mark.
Both teams now having pulled outside the field. Will they learn?
One of the things, yeah, hopefully we won't see too many more bricks in this game. Hopefully they can adjust. Fyshwick Unit coming out in a horizontal stack. Hits Bird under, but it bobbles out of his hands. Oh, it was a spicy throw from Spendle-Windle. And Bird unable to hold on. One of the fastest players in Ultimate, Austin Bird. But his hands betraying him that time. Hits White on Spendle-Windle. And it comes under to Flavel. Flavel looking towards that end zone. Content to swing it off. Nice little air bounce to Wilson. He hits White. White doing a lot of work right now. Unimpressed with what he's seeing. Looks back towards his disc. Happy to give up lots of yards on that reset is Hoss. They just want to get it off. And a beautiful inside big bid from Spendle-Windle. It allows the break throw to open up. And Hoss are pleased with that one. That is a break for Hoss there. The Fyshwick O-line getting broken for the first time.
Couple heads are down.
Yeah, they're sad with that one. But Hoss with some great offense on the turn. As we can see, a beautiful break coming up. Spendle-Windle unable to secure it, even with the bid. And just opening up that break side.
Number 55 on Carnage, Brennan White, putting in a lot of work in that point. Though I have noticed his back foot likes to move a bit when he has the disc. He might need to watch out because that could be called as a travel. Regardless, putting in a lot of work in that handler space. Brennan White, definitely a player to look out for, definitely has those threatening shots.
How can Fishwick respond? Gone broken for the first time. O-line coming back out.
Pull comes up from Benjamin Richardson.
Cheese looking to center it to Dow. Oh, we see what he is on the field. Big presence. Big throw up. Gillett within the end zone. Easy as you like.
Standing in a paddock, undefended, unmarked.
It looked like a bit of a breakdown in defense from that Hoss team. Two players, we got Sanger and Gillett in their end zone, both able to clean up. And Dow using that experience. He knew exactly where he wanted to put it. Looked like Hoss was maybe trying to come down in some sort of zone. And Dow saying, I'm having none of that. Gillett in an absolute paddock of space. See right now coming towards us, we've got the Canberra Dog of the Month.
The Canberra Ultimate mascot. She's orange herself. Maple. The puppy of Hannah Monty, coach of Fishwick Ultimate unit. And Abby Dawson, a player on Factory, going to Div 1 in 2 weeks to Townsville. She is the cutest puppy in Australian Ultimate, and no one can change my mind.
Oh, that's a big claim. We've seen some very cute dogs this weekend. As Spendle-Windle puts up another big pull. That's floated nicely. And Hoss looking to move it quickly.
looking to work it through Jake Williams.
And a bit of a miscommunication there, looking for that inside shot, but it doesn't come off as Hatfield sends it, picks it up and rips it. Oh, Bell thought about the bid, but just out of his reach. Hatfield maybe a bit trigger happy on that turn. So you can see, looking to those athletic receivers like Bell, but Bell unable to leave his feet there. But this is maybe where Fyshwick unit wants this Hoss team. Pushing.
Jake Williams bringing the disc up for Hoss, looking at getting that handler movement going, looking to Samuel Jacobs.
Jacobs with a very pretty inside, but once again, Fyshwick managing to get in there.
Maybe a bit of miscommunication from the Carnage receivers with Malcolm Gill just popping right through the middle and getting it. And once again, some miscommunication on Fyshwick unit side of things with a bit of a big throw. Bit too big.
Spender-Windle maybe miscommunicating on that reset. The wind playing tricks on them. And Hatfield got the hat backwards.
Waller coming up and picking up the disc.
Yeah, Waller with a nice plaited hair. It's a great fashion statement, keeps it out of his eyes. A big disc coming up again and misses out. And Chu can ferry that one out of bounds.
Watching out for where his offensive player is going and saying, no, you're not getting that disc today.
Chu picks it up quickly, hits Young, doing a lot of work.
Working it down that far sideline.
Bell hits Isaac Jacobs. Some of the young guns on this team getting it done. Isaac Jacobs using the bucket hat look, and just out of the hands of Young. Goes with the one left-handed grab.
Two hands, a pancake catch would have gotten that, but unfortunately that was not in the books today.
Yeah, Jacobs asking a lot of Young on that throw, but did pop out of the hands. And once again, they're gonna have to play defense. We can see Hoss coming out maybe again in a little bit of a diag vertical stack, using that diagonal look to help them swing the disc off that sideline. Having those first two cuts, one going back, one coming up the line. Really looking to get that disc moving. Eschewing what is normally a dump set, and they swing it into the middle.
Jake Williams to Samuel Jacobs. Sam Jacobs looking for the big throw. Will he catch it? He catches it. A pick has been called.
Yeah, Rabba gonna have to bring that one back.
Remember, if a pick is called and the offensive players do not catch the disc, it is a turnover.
Yeah, Rabba making sure of that one. It was a nice throw from Jacobs, but I think there was maybe a reason that Rabba was so free there. Just figuring out where they should be now.
Chu and Gill instructing Rabba as to where he was.
Bell tapping the disc in there. And the throw comes up again, but no one's home. It's an ill-advised huck there from Jacobs. Miscommunicated with his downfield receivers. And we hear the calls of horror from the Fishwick coach, Hannah Monty, instructing her troops, getting them out in that look that they know so well. This Fishwick unit team has experimented with a few offensive sets. They've been known to play hex in their day. But they're coming out in just a traditional horror stack here. Malcolm Gill looking for the under, using that aerodynamic new haircut to get open. Doesn't get it this time.
Is it the aerodynamic haircut or is it the blue tights?
Oh, it's surely a bit of both, as we see Young with the disc. Hits Bell. Bell using great job getting under. Hits Spendle with a beautiful upfield throw. Spendle goes up. And Isaac Jacobs goes up. He is a long boy and he got some hops. Flicks the disc to the ground. As nonchalant as you want. Isaac Jacobs, big smile on his face there. And Fishwick unit going up 5-4.
Malcolm Gill providing that backup in case, running alongside his teammate. Will we get a replay on that?
I believe that's another break for unit at that point. That's what they want to see from the off. You can see this here, smooth offense. Happy to use that upwind sideline. Hits Spendle into an acres of space, and he has time to put that up to Isaac Jacobs, one of his favorite receivers. They've played together quite a bit.
Fishwick unit maybe moving it a bit too quickly. They had quite a number of receivers behind the disc as it was moving, meaning that they were slightly at a disadvantage when it came to the number of defenders and receivers downfield. But it worked out for them.
They've got Dow on the pull for unit. Hoss, Carnage, they're going to want to rally from this. Come out with a strong O-line. Hoss, one of the biggest clubs in Australia. 3 women's team, 2 men's team. It's Div 2 championship. A men's team to compete in Townsville in 2 weeks' time. So content to move around their handlers. Using those inside looks to great effect, this Hoss Carnage team.
Clark on the mark. Working those nice inside shots.
And Hoss moving up now, and a big huck comes up. And snagged. Wesley Flavelle in the end zone. Managing to secure that grab, and some Fishwick unit defenders breathing down his neck.
Well, he also has the one gloved hand, so sticky hands make for good receivers.
Yeah, Canberra's bringing a little bit of chilliness right now. So that glove maybe also bringing a bit of warmth for the players.
That brings us both teams up to 5s. Definitely looking like another game of trades.
See this nice deep look coming up. Bird unable to get there. Flavelle sticking out that left paw. Spinning that disc to the ground in celebration.
Great connections from Carnage. Fishwick maybe getting a bit confused on the mark, seeing a flick force and then a backhand force, maybe a middle force.
What are you seeing from Carnage so far, Maureen?
I'm seeing a lot of good connections, a lot of very developed connections. They've taken their time this season to definitely train that. They've got a lot of speed to them as well. This pull coming in, the defenders running down, applying a zone, communicating a lot. A couple of shoulder bumps going on, but the Fishwick boys able to work it clearly through their handler space.
Oh, Bell bobbling that catch, but managing to secure it. Safe set of hands. And Unit using their overhead throws to great effect. We're seeing Hammer Scoops come out. Sanger putting up a huge throw to Spendlewindle.
Unable to hold on to it, unable to run it down efficiently in the space, and maybe that too big, one wee big's too many this morning.
A bit too far from Alex Sanger. It was a nice looking throw though. Alex Sanger, one of the other junior products coming out of this Fishwick unit team, with Young and Jacobs really bringing their youthful athleticism and exuberance to this team. So shot comes up, and Chu reading that play like a book. Travel is called though, so he brought that disc back in.
He was able to curve his line of run, so that is a travel according to the rules of Ultimate. Yeah, you can just see here that he runs it back in.
We can see Chu with a great heads-up defense there. That was not his assignment, but Chu did not mind poaching off of that incredible block there.
Will he put it back to Spendlewindle? Yes, he does.
Spendlewindle with the left hand there. Hits Dow, hits that inside shot to Bell. That is some beautiful offense from that Fishwick unit team.
That is a beautiful inside shot from Dow. Great trust in his receivers. That was quite a low one, but Isaac Bell getting 2 hands to it.
Yeah, Dow
pick it up.
Bringing that international Australian experience to this team. Carving it up with his throws, his flicks, his hammers. This man has been around the block before, wearing his Dingo's cap today.
Not afraid to show off a bit of Australian merch. Not afraid to pull rank and show his expertise against some of these Hoss Carnage boys.
And Carnage coming out on offense once again. They did look pretty last time, especially with that fast movement. Once Carnage could get it moving, it looked really, really good. But they have struggled from those stagnant positions. Struggled to get off those sidelines, move it through.
Hannah Monty being very animated in her coaching, definitely giving a lot of instruction. Quite strict instruction, but it seems to be working for these boys.
Yeah, Dan Rule imparting all the wisdom of his many years of coaching experience to his team right now. We're going to hear this big pull comes up. Spendlewindle with a huge pull, and it's going to sit and come to rest in the back of that Hoss end zone. Calls of Callahan from the Fishwick sideline. This is not where Hoss wants to be. And a big hook comes up. There's a bit of a bailout throw there. There's lots of players under it. But Sam Jacobs with a spinning grab, and he's going to put it deep again. But he's put a bit too much on that.
That was definitely a Hail Mary from the handlers within their end zone, just wanting to get it away from that space, wanting to make it as hard as possible for Fyshwick unit to work it in.
See Jacobs here with a very nice grab. Put in the spin cycle in his hand there, but secured it very nicely. We've got Hatfield bringing the disc up, this Fyshwick unit offense. It's Bird coming under, but Jacobs with the run through D. Bird didn't attack the disc, and Sam Jacobs said, thank you very much.
The Hoss boys definitely turning the tables on this one, turning it just outside the Fyshwick unit end zone, making it hard for them and making it easy for the Hoss boys.
Well, Jacobs on the Guanas under 24 men's team. Seen us a snub maybe from Hoss A. Team that was represented Div 1. But Hoss
able to just jump it in, and that is a little spike.
Yeah, Dan Cullen hit him with a punch spike there. He's fired up. Here's how much that means. That's some nice handler movement from Cullen.
Oh, and there is the plane celebration that we have seen earlier on in the day. Just watching the replay, that is a beautiful way to jump it in. Just goes up, catches it, and jumps backwards.
Yeah, we've got Hoss with the noise coming out. They're T-posing, plane posing. They're trying to bring themselves the confidence they're going to need to beat this experienced Fyshwick unit team. And they're a fiery young team, this Hoss Carnage.
Timeout has been called. They're definitely firing up. Both teams are firing up.
Yeah, this is an important timeout. We've got the sideline as well, hitting us with those T-poses. Why do you reckon Fyshwick called that timeout, Maureen?
Oh, I think that despite it being fives, that has brought it to 6-5, and that might just be the first break that they have lost, and that's bringing it to sixes, actually. And I think that Fyshwick want to, A, have a bit of time to relax, because that was quite the stressful point of a lot of big running. But B, they just need to refocus a bit, and Hannah Monty, big fan of the mental space and figuring out mental space, and wants to allow her boys to figure that out and make sure they're in the right headspace to bring it back and bring it firing. Make sure everyone's on the same wavelength when it comes to the team plan.
Yeah, we can see Spendle-Wendell taking another point. He's been huge for Fyshwick unit so far. Don't expect him to take many subs anytime soon.
O'Reilly also on the line, as is Chu and Bell.
Yeah, we can see on this Hoss team.
Jacobs.
Yeah, Jacobs not on this point, but it's like a fiery, experienced line coming out from Hoss. Wilson with the pull. Can he keep this one in? That one looks nice.
An offside called by Chu. Offside called by the game advisors further down.
And Hoss going to have to walk this one back.
And the game advisors make a call, especially regarding offside. It is up to the team opposite to make the call. They can finalize it and bring it into play. Game advisors can only give advice.
You can see on that replay there, maybe a few of those Hoss boys a little bit exuberant, really wanting to get that chase down, put that pressure on straight from the off. So
a bit too early out of those gates.
Yeah, experienced call from Chu, send him back. And Chu fielding that bouncing rolling pull. That's a hard one to field, but he gets it to O'Reilly. O'Reilly being around the block, has an absolute cannon of a flick, but chooses to hit that nice, safe reset instead. Hits Spendle-Wendell. Hoss moving out of their zone set into match defense, and it forces a turnover.
Bit too big for O'Reilly to hold on to.
Yeah, looks at his hands. How have you betrayed me? But he's going to need to play defense now. Wiggly on the mark. Lavelle with a nice throw. It's Wong. But Chu bringing it this game with a huge layout D there from Chu, it looks like.
Violation called on Chu. Let's see if we can get a replay on that. We did.
So it's looking like Chu maybe got a hand onto that disc, but in the meantime, let it roll to the ground. And so the Hoss player calling a violation.
Here we have a replay going on.
Telling
Chu getting hands to it, getting potential control, but falling to the ground due to potential contact.
As you can see, Chu being told to come pick up the disc.
Chu conceding, saying he'll pick up the disc for the sake of moving the game on.
Bit of frustration maybe seen from that Fishwick sideline of that call.
Disc is back in, getting it to O'Reilly. O'Reilly definitely the trusted thrower on this team. Looking for Chu again in the end zone. Unfortunately can't get it.
O'Reilly rifling that cannon of a flick to Chu, but bouncing out of both of those gloved hands. Chu maybe worrying a little bit too much about where that end zone line was. Worried about towing that in. It bounced off his hands. It is, as we said before, a bit windy at the moment. If there's one thing Canberra teams sometimes struggle with, it's a lick of wind.
Well, Dan, as you'll well know, as being part of the Fyshwick United team going to Div 1s and myself being part of the factory team going to Div 1 in 2 weeks' time, when we train, there is usually no wind. And so as soon as the tournament comes, the saying goes that in Canberra, there's a tournament, there is wind. And when the wind comes with the tournament, it stays. We are a geographical hole.
Yeah, geographical frost hole for this weekend, but it's been lovely conditions so Flower hits McCog.
And that disc just hitting the turf, going down a bit too early.
And McCullough just turfing that throw there. Unfortunate, it's a hard look, that breakside look, but you'd expect him to hit that.
Wendell picking it up. Bell going up for the grab, bringing it down into the end zone. Bringing it to 6-7 in favor of Fishwick. What a grab, what a vertical leap.
And Bell doesn't want to celebrate there, but a big ups from Bell there. Spindle likes him as a receiver, and you can see why there. He says, Isaac, go out into that lane. I'll throw it to you, mate. And Isaac getting that inch of separation and hopping up straight over.
Bell always being a very measured person. But those of us who know him quite well would see that that little smirk on his face is quite a big celebration for him, but not wanting to give it away too early.
But really having to grind at that O point, Fishwick. Hoss bringing out the pressure, bringing out that defensive pressure, and really forcing Fishwick to go to all of the tools in their arsenal for that.
Jan, what do you think that Fishwick would have to fix in order to get this a good margin of a win over Hoss and vice versa?
I think what we've seen from Fishwick is maybe just a few execution errors, a few drops, a few one-handed catches, maybe just bumping out of their hands. I think those deep looks have actually looked really good for Fishwick, maybe a bit of a change from the normal Fishwick offense, but with those athletic downfield receivers, I reckon, and those incredible experienced throwers, I reckon Fishwick can keep looking at those options, keep using and trusting their deep game, as the Fishwick defense has Hoss trapped down there. Big bid. But Hatfield can't quite get up to it. And they're using the break side nicely now, are they, Hoss? A big low throw coming out. Uhaber gets a hand on it, but wasn't intended for him. Bounce out of his hands. That was coming in hot. You can see here, big bid again by Hatfield. Leaving his feet, not for the first time this game. He's unafraid to get vertical. And Dow putting it up to Tom Clark. Clark reading it perfectly, bringing it down. Hitting Young, not quite in yet. Young showing the patience of a veteran around this end zone. And Hatfield break throw to Malcolm Gill. Using that aerodynamic, those beautiful blue tights, and he is pleased as punch. Little lefty it away. Oh, he's looking away from the camera, but he knows we're grinning. He's grinning on the inside.
Malcolm, always known for putting up a bit of an angry face. Those of us who know him once again know that he is quite chuffed with himself right now. Getting free, using that agility, using that speed.
That is a great flick from Dow. Not allowing that to sit, not allowing the Hoss players to get under it. And we can see Young, impressive amount of patience in the end zone. Patience belying his years. Hits Hatfield, and from there, it's a beautiful breakside throw to Gill, who was watching that. In great spirit we're seeing this game. A lot of high fives, a lot of hugs from both of the teams.
With Fishwick taking half, both teams are putting in a lot of effort and grinding it out. We will be right back to take you through the second half. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the second half of the semi-finals between Fyshwick Unit and Melbourne Carnage. I am Marine Schmidt. I am joined here with Dan Hellig-Smith, bringing you this stream from usually sunny, earlier on sunny, and a bit windy, now a bit overcast Canberra. It's been quite the day. The wind is picking up. It's getting a bit chilly. People on the sidelines chucking on jumpers or having their arms crossed, keeping themselves warm when they're not playing. This game has been very tense so far.
Yeah, both teams really bringing the heat for this game. They know how important it is. Both teams are expecting to be in the final, hoping to be in the final, and it all comes down to this half. It's a really nice pull comes out, and Gentle, the veteran move, allows that one to just drift out for the brick. He read that one very, very well at the last moment, and Dow's going to bring it up. As we talked about before, Dow, product of the Dingoes Australian teams. He's been around the block before. Probably one of the best throwers at the Div 2 Championships, and he's going to rip it, but that is a low throw from Dow. No call. No call from Dow. That is a very uncharacteristic turnover.
A lot of pressure put on by the Carnage player, number 52, Benjamin Richardson.
Yeah, a bit of the commentator's curse there. Justice Will praising him. Richardson with the disc now. Sends up a big flick.
It's a bit too big to number 55, Brennan White.
And White, even his large frame, can't bring it in.
That man has got quite the arm span and the wingspan, but still that bit too high, even with the jump and the leap.
Got Spenderwindle, he's having a big game. He's going to bring the disc up for this Fishwick unit. Young guy, Spenderwindle, played on the Thunder team last year. Just out of the reach of Gentle, but Bell is in there, right where they needed him. And hits Dow, and his shot comes up. Huge one. Wiggly, oh, just can't secure it in his hands.
Slips through the arms, tumbles to the floor. Unfortunately for him.
Yeah, Wiggly repping those Jez Barron under 24s Australia socks, but can't make the grab there.
Matthew McCullough being told to pick up the disc.
McCullough maybe one of the more experienced heads on this Hoss line. It's a nice inside backhand. Another big shot. It's a game of hucks right now. White is under it, and he reads it again.
This time he gets it, both hands to the disc, secures it, holds it above his head for a while as his team streams onto the field.
Oh, they're excited with that one, Hoss. I believe that was a break this point. Hoss.
Benjamin Richardson celebrating, hooing and wooing all the way.
Hoss coming out strong after half. I'll have to be pleased with that. They're going to have a few more of those breaks. They're going to have to bounce back a bit harder to really beat this Fishwick unit team and secure their place in the final. And we can see there the Hoss boys, hands in the air. And thank you, White. Another huge grab from him.
I believe that brings it up to 8s.
Yeah, Dan Rule looking into the camera with his celebration. He's pleased with that one. It's 8-7. Fishwick still with the upper hand. But Hoss breathing down their necks. Chew. Nice safe pair of hands. Sends it to Dow. Dow hits O'Reilly. O'Reilly cannons another big flick upfield. Young's underneath it. Jacobs is getting in the area and swatted away. Great D. I believe that was Flavel there, getting in to break up that play. And Young unable to get up.
Young thinks about making a call, but then decides against it. Maybe he felt a bit of contact on his hands, but maybe decided that was the disc. Who knows?
Yeah, it was a big flick from O'Reilly, but maybe hanging a bit more than he wanted. And they're swinging it out now to Wilson.
Matthew McCullough looking for that handler space, working it through.
I expect McCullough and Wilson to be big presences on this point.
Working it through the center of the field.
It's a low bullet of a flick comes out from Wilson. They're looking back to him.
O'Reilly on the mark, using that wingspan, using that experience as well. Back to McCullough.
Yeah, Wilson hits McCullough. McCullough telling his downfield cutters, come a bit closer. I need you to hit those unders. Hoss maybe eschewing that deep throw for the moment. Content to work their unders. And Fishwick is very aware that Hoss likes to put it so far.
Jacobs getting his feet up. Applying pressure.
Isaac Jacobs putting a lot of pressure on that mark, forcing out that maybe wrong throw from Bergen. Slaps his quads in frustration.
Chu telling his teammates to slow down, using hand signals, telling them to control.
A lot of noise coming out from this Haas D-line.
Haas putting on a middle force. The call has been made.
Calls have stacked shorter from the Fishwick sideline. As Haas, lots of communication for this forced middle, telling their downfield defenders and the mark where they should be. Dow and Chu content to swing it between them. Very close from Wilson. On O'Reilly there, but O'Reilly securing that grab. Hits Dow. Dow versus Chu. The handlers weaving it between each other during this point.
Mike Jeffcott not letting up on his mark, sticking really, really close to Dowell. Putting the pressure straight onto him.
Dow looking for a big throw to Jacobs, but it's intercepted by Wilson, who reads the play. Big throw coming up. McCullough's wide open. Two-handed safe grab. Flavelle streaming into the end zone, and he hits him. Haas breaking twice to come out of half, and they've got it all tied at 8. The 1-2 punch from Haas, and Fishwick unit is reeling at the moment.
Fishwick definitely not out of the woods. Carnage putting on quite the fight, making sure that they are giving it their all, fighting tooth and nail, and occasionally white strip, and not afraid to get that strip grass-stained green.
You can see there the great poach D from Wilson, reading what Dow wanted, and then sends it deep to McCullough. He's having a great game so far.
What do you think went wrong in that point for Fishwick?
I think we were seeing that for Fishwick. They maybe looked a bit stagnant downfield. Their offense really struggling to work it through their cutters, forced to rely on their handlers to just keep having to swing and move it, which they can do all day, but I think their cutters need to get a bit more involved there, stack a little bit closer, open up that deep space, because Fishwick unit knows they've got the throws, they've got the receivers to use those deep lanes when they can.
Fishwick also a bit slow to recognize the turn and to hustle down to provide that defensive structure.
Big pull coming up from Cullen. Gentle, centering it to Spendlewindle. Spendlewindle not quite setting his foot down, and he turfs that throw to Bird. Hangs his head in frustration. So Williams is walking over to the disc here. This is a huge point for both teams. It's a big point if Haas can punch this in. Big fakes from Haas, but he turfs that around. Henriksen unable to hit that around flick.
And Jake Wilson going down, tumbling for the grass.
Wigley looking straight back to Spendlewindle. Expect him to do a lot of the handling this point as he hits Bell. Got a pick call. There's almost so much noise coming from these sidelines. It's hard for the players to hear what's going on the field when there's these calls. And it's tapped back in for Bell. Oh.
Violation called. Movement happened before the disc was in play.
Henriksen taps the disc back in for Bell. Bell hits Gentle. Gentle, one of the most experienced players in the Fishwick club. He's been around the block for years. A safe, reliable handler with all the throws in his toolkit. So he hits Spendlewindle hits Wigley on this far sideline. And Gentle streams up the line. Wigley with a great around, but just behind Gentle. Unable to hit it, but a foul is called on the throw.
Isaac Bell hitting the turf, trying to catch that. Goes down, unfortunately unable to get it.
Yeah, Wigley calling a foul on that throw. Maybe saying he was hit just as he was going to look for it.
We're getting a play-by-play. I love it when this happens. Foul, uncontested.
Good spirit from both teams there.
Disc goes back to the thrower. Great discussion. Quickly resolves that. Coming in on stall 1.
Wigley hits Bird. Bird's far sideline. Wigley's coming back. Bird doesn't want him. Comes up to Bell, having to toe the line here. He's going to look to try to get off the sideline. Hit Spendlewindle. That's where they want it.
Finds Clark.
Oh, staying in this forced middle near the end zone. I wanted to go out of it. A big throw. Bird hits the turf. but can't secure it. That was a bit low from Gentle there.
It's definitely the curse of the fast people. What I've definitely found in about my limited time playing Ultimate is that people who are quick do not tend to lay out. They tend to think that they can get to it quick enough. So why lay out when I can run fast enough? Up comes the big throw from Wilson.
Big huck. Gentle underneath it with White. We've seen that matchup before. And White takes it up over Gentle again. Hits the turf. White is having a huge game in that deep space. They're looking for him. They know that they want him on a turn. And they're hitting it again. Fishwick heads in their hands. That's 3 on the bounce for Hoss. Really coming out of half strong. And Fishwick still reeling. Beautiful huck we're seeing there just on the replay. Full field backhand in this wind. That is not an easy throw to do. And White with the box out on Gentle. Waving that disc around. Clark, hands on his heads. Cleats still on his feet though, so that's what we want to see from Clark.
I'm definitely hearing a lot more chat from the Carnage sideline than I am from the unit sideline, which makes a massive difference when it comes to mental space and support. When you've got someone on the sideline cheering your name, telling you to keep working hard and communicating to you, you are so much more likely to do so than when your sideline is quiet, because you have to dig deep within yourself. And when you're tired after 3 days of a tournament, that is really hard.
Yeah, Haas, a team known for their high energy, their big talk, their big sidelines. And a beautiful pull comes up from Wilson, but there is another offside call. That is heartbreaking for Haas to happen again. And Fishwick unit are going to walk it up for a mega brick.
Mega brick being found.
So Fishwick getting it at the half field mark.
Coach Monty telling them to call a timeout as soon as the game is in play.
There's a bit of discussion about where that halfway point is. Talking to our game advisors at the moment, just trying to figure it out. It's a bit of an unusual thing to see happen, a mega brick. And we can see a lot of those Hoss boys very eager to get down, bring that energy, bring it from the start, but it's a little bit too eager once again. You're going to have to watch that for the rest of the game.
Game advisors providing a lot of clarity on what's going on. Good communication from both teams.
Dow bringing the disc in.
Dow not listening to Coach Monty.
O'Reilly managing to stag that. Safe pair of hands, looks to Chu. Chu hits Spendlewindle. Spendlewindle, the big fake there. Getting his mark to bite, and back to Dow. They're going to want to see the disc in Dow's hands a lot.
Pick called on O'Reilly by number 89, Mike Jeffcott. That definitely seems to be a crucial matchup that Hoss have decided to put on.
Yeah, Jeffcott getting a few sniffs already on O'Reilly, but a beautiful backhand up to Spendlewindle, who hits the scuba to Alex Sanger. That was a visionary throw from Spendlewindle. He's a bit of a freestyle player, has all the throws in his toolkit, likes messing around with whatever he's got.
Very creative player, very creative young mind. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was part of the Thunder campaign with some of the other Thunder boys on this line.
Yeah, he certainly was. Bringing that youth international experience.
Definitely that campaign giving him a lot of maturity in his throws and a lot of confidence in the throws that he has and a lot of patience.
That was a really big point for Fishwick unit, managing to withstand that Hoss pressure and managing to punch in that O point. Hoss must be disappointed with that though. Giving up that mega brick, giving up that second offside, really put Fishwick in the right position to get that point. Just as Hoss were really building that pressure, had 3 on the bounce. Now they have to come out, punch in an offensive point. We can see quite an experienced line here from Hoss Carnage, putting on some of their best players. They know at 9-all, it's important to really keep their advantage. They can't let Fishwick unit back into this game. Big pull put up from Spendlewindle. They haven't read that Hoss, and they've let it fall to the turf and roll into the end zone. Hatfield hustling down hard to put a mark on. Big, energetic mark. So we've got Cullen putting up an inside look. That's going to float. Isaac Jacobs getting huge, as does number 14, Mark Twang Thong.
Will we get a replay on that? It goes up.
Oh, let's see this
Jacobs
replay.
goes up. Seems to have control, and then number 14, Mark Thong, brings it down and rips it out of his hands.
Oh, that is very close, but maybe just on the slow-mo, maybe Isaac Jacobs managing to get that disc just before, and that's what the players agree on. Isaac Jacobs showing off his athleticism to get the D there, and it floats just out of the reach, but Bird manages to come through and snag it on the second effort. Bird showing off his speed and acceleration there, and he is happy with that one.
Not letting up on that disc. He goes up for it, doesn't get it, comes back down, sprints to get it a second time. Let's watch that again.
Yeah, Bird with that push pass celebration. He's known to love his push passes, is Austin Bird. You can see Mikey Hatfield floating that one into the end zone. And Haas getting a sniff.
Both boys go up.
Hagloff breathing down Bird's neck. Bird managing to body out and grab the break. And Fishwick punching back, 2 on the bounce.
9-10 to Fishwick.
They're back in the lead. Haas came out from a really strong half, but that win playing tricks on those inside looks that Haas is really liking to see. You can see maybe Haas Carnage putting out a different line here now.
Dan Rule maybe deciding to switch things up, trying to counteract the tactics put forth by Hannah Monty. I wonder if there's a rivalry there or if it's all in good jest.
Oh, I'm sure it's good in good jest, but they're both looking to one-up each other in this game. Get the bragging rights of being in the final.
Both very competitive people as well.
Big pull comes up from Spendle-Windle. I think that one's going to drift just out and allow this Haas Carnage team to bring it in from the brick mark. And have been ripping some absolutely brilliant pulls this game, but that one not quite at the same standard. You see Wilson walking the disc up. Wilson's been crucial for this Haas Carnage team, doing a huge amount of the handling work for them. Really ripping unit up with his break throws.
Wilson quite physical on that mark.
Yeah, a bit of a bump there from Alex Sanger. Uncontested. It's going to be tapped back in quickly.
Coming in on stall 0. Sanger getting nice and low.
Wilson with a great inside shot to Jacobs. He's going to put it up to Hell in the area of White. But White's got that foot speed to go chase it down.
White taking a lot of points for Haas today. I think scoring 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's a bit of a blueprint for Haas Carnage at this point. If you see White in end zone, you just got to put it up to him, because he has been absolutely clutch.
He will bring it right back down for you and score that point.
So you can see here it all opened up with that beautiful break throw by Wilson, putting it onto that high sideline, and Jacobs able to float it out across the field. Dowling able to get there. And
Dowling seeming to have an issue with his ankle, hopping a bit on that point.
Well, White with that fist pump, he knows that's an important point. He knows that's a big one. We expect to see a lot more of him this game.
Hopping, and again, but beautiful grab by White. Hopefully Dow gets that ankle checked out. He's a key player on that team.
And you see the Fishwick O-line coming out. Big pull coming up from Haas. Going to be fielded by O'Reilly. Spendle-Windle. And Carnage bringing a lot of pressure from the off. Looking like a bit of a zony defense. Maybe looking to transition into match soon. So they count down. Spendle-Windle with the ill-advised scuba, but miscommunicated with Bird. And the disc hits the turf. It's a great opportunity with a big bid from McCullough. Wilson asking a lot from that point. And another big bid comes up just short.
Can't quite grab a hold of it. but goes for a slide on the field nonetheless.
White claps his hands in frustration. That was a hard bid, but he feels like he maybe could have got there. We see Haas unafraid of throwing their bodies around. But this defense from Haas really forcing Fishwick into some unusual looks, really forcing them to struggle a little bit. We're seeing a bit of patience from the calm, experienced hands of Gentle. So he's looking to run this offense. Great inside look, hits Gill. Gill's looking for an option, swings it out. It's looking like this patience is working well for Unit. Spendle hits Gentle. They've seen a lot of the disc already at this point. And we've seen Haas transition from that more zoning defense into a match defense now. It can be very hard for handlers and offenses to switch between match and zone. But they've managed to do it well here.
And we've just seen the transition from the old connection between Gentle and O'Reilly to the young connection between Jacobs and Spindle-Windle.
And Wiggly with the spike in the end zone. Respectful shake of the hands afterwards, but Wiggly is very happy with that one. Another one of the juniors on this team. Spindle-Windle and Wiggly showing you don't have to have been around the block for ages to get it done.
Fishwick unit definitely capitalizing on those connections that exist both between the older players and the newer players, and having definitely created some connections between those two groups to maximize their players and maximize their abilities on the field, making them quite a unit, if you don't mind me saying, to compete with. I'm getting booed by a good friend out here.
Look, we won't argue if it's justified or not, but we'll bring the puns for you all throughout today. We've got Hatfield coming out with the pull for Unit. A big crucial point. Unit up by 1. This semi-final looks like it's going to be an absolute nail-biter. The winner of this coming out to play, the winner of Duff versus Fat Chili on the field right next to us. As that is a huge pull. Few too many wheat bix on that one. As the pull drifts out of the back of the end zone.
And the brick is called, being taken by Jake Williams from the brick mark in the middle of the field. Carnage setting up in a vertical stack quite deep in the field, a bit past the halfway mark.
It's quite a deep stack from Carnage coming out. Fishwick looks like they're just coming out in person defense.
Haas Carnage calling for a shorter stack on the sidelines, recognizing with the Fishwick defense trying to push those handlers back.
Cullen forced to look to his reset. Reset clears up the line and Flavelle comes back. There's a stall out call on the play though. Dan Cullen may be unable to release the disc in time, but they're going to talk about it. Chu looks very convinced, but is happy to bring it back on a contested stall.
Game advisor comes in to provide a bit of an opinion. A contested stall has occurred.
Contested stall, so the disc is going to come in on 8. A lot of pressure on Dan Cullen right now to get this disc out quickly. We might be seeing a deep look though. Sam Jacobs is in the deep space right now.
We might be seeing a Hail Mary.
It looks back to Flavelle. Safe option there. Flavelle working hard to get under. It's a shot, but it's just past. Just past the cutting for Sam Jacobs. And Young able to slap that disc to the turf. An emphatic D. And they hit Clark on the far sideline. Unit looking to move it quickly. Young does very well to come back and attack that disc. The Haas pressure is building. And Unit manages to swing it up. Tom Clark with a big spike. And he's jumping around.
Tom Clark, quite a big man, quite a big guy for the Frisbee field. Definitely has a lot of muscle, packs it on, but definitely shows off in his explosive capabilities and explosive speed, as well as his jump height.
Clark's in the gym before in his life, and he is pleased with that one. Big spike, fists in the air from Chu and Hatfield. They know that is a big break for this Fishwick unit team so late in the game. And they're really forcing Haas to respond here.
A lot of Fishwick unit firing up on the sideline, including Hatfield, walking off with a bit of a grin. quite chuffed with that point.
And we see on the experience head of Hoss staying on, we can see Jacobs, Wilson, and White, some of the crucial players coming out for this point.
Dan Rule trying to put on a really strong line to punch it in.
Yeah, they need this point. Do Hoss Carnage keep their hopes alive?
You look at the unit line coming down after that lovely pull. It's floating.
Spindlewinter with another brilliant pull, resting in the end zone. The Hoss player did not want to catch it, and they send it up. White's in that space, so is Rabba, but Spindlewinter's trying to read it. It's a big pile of bodies, and White knacks it to Jacobs. He's cleaning up the scraps. He decided not to get involved there, but had a sniff on the second time. Swings it out to McCullough, doesn't want it, goes through the middle, and
finds
hits
again.
White.
Again, finds White in the end zone. Trusted pair of hands that we have seen this game. Definitely a strong connection with a lot of their main handlers.
Yeah, White's really racking up the goals in the stat sheet. That was maybe a bit lucky for Hoss Carnage on that point, putting up a big huck. They were lucky to get the second read on. But that just shows in this wind, having that nitty-gritty going for those second discs.
Once again, that T celebration.
Yeah, T posing all over us is Hoss Carnage at the moment. And they're going to need to bring that noise, going to bring that energy.
I definitely think that that T-pose comes along with Dan Rules and the AFTR's new push on mental training and mental strength, celebrating things, coming up with the rituals that celebrate a good point. I know that the women's, the Fire Tails, they tend to either, when they do something good, they have a little celebration each. I know that some people like to touch their nose or their ears, you know, really reinforcing that positive attitude. This might just be Dan Rule's input.
Yeah, bank those good times. As been shown, if you stand confidently, if you walk confidently, you will act a little bit more confidently. And Hoss bringing that with their throws, bringing that with their skies. And maybe some of that comes from that T-pose celebration there. Fishwick unit, all serious coming out in this line. They know how important this is. This is going to be a big, big point for them if they can punch this in.
Got a mix of young and old on this line, experienced, non-experienced, or even when I say non-experienced for Fishwick is still a couple of years of playing. The wind has changed a bit. It's settled down a bit. It's become a bit more swirly. You can kind of see on the flags on the other side of the field that it's changing a bit. It used to be a side wind and a cross breeze, and now it's becoming a bit more upwind, downwind. It's settling down. I've got coach of Fishwick unit, Hannah Monty, telling me that the wind is disappearing, and like a Houdini magic act is out of the show.
And I'm sure the Canberra players are happy for that. A bit more unused to the wind maybe than their Melbourne counterparts. Big pull comes up. Hatfield's going to center it to O'Reilly. Straight back to Hatfield. Looks like Hoss are maybe coming out in a bit of a zone here. And Fishwick looking to move it through quickly. A little bit of contact, but they play through. Another bit of contact again. Hoss unafraid to get physical at this point. There's maybe a foul call here, just creating a stoppage for White.
Hoss definitely coming out with a bit more contact this point. Maybe feeling the pressure to win.
Yeah, they want it so bad, does this Hoss team. This gives them a bit of time to set up this stoppage. Just swung back to Hatfield. Hatfield hits Spindlewinter as McCullough hits the turf to try to stop that throw. They don't want to give each other an inch. McCullough with another bid. And Hatfield with a big throw up. And it's just out of the hands. Gillett unable to secure it as White puts on a lot of pressure. And this is huge. If Carnage can get this, it'll be all tied up. And they know that they need this break.
Fishwick definitely feeling the pressure. You can see it on the sidelines. Crossed arms, heads a bit lower. Hannah Monty really feeling the pressure on this, yelling at her players on the fields, making sure everyone knows who they're marking, getting a bit of a sandwich going on, watching for that big throw.
Also that diag stack out again. Wilson manages to hit Jacobs, who toes it in very nicely and swings it out across the field.
O'Reilly gets a bit of a foot to that, but it doesn't affect anything.
Yeah, back to Wilson, who hits Jacobs. They're looking to really work it between each other at this point. Jacobs with a beautiful inside flick to White. And White's looking, hits Jacobs again. Jacobs running and gunning that offense, leading Hoss to that break. And he is pleased with that as we see another big spike from those Hoss boys. They know how important that is. Damon Stevens with the goal there. And he's got a bit of a skip about him as well right now.
It's definitely going to be a tight game. We're at 12s right now, game to 15. It'll be interesting to see how each team adapts to try get that 1 foot above, 1 step above the other team and take it, get themselves into the finals.
Maureen, what do you reckon is going to be the clincher in this game? What's going to decide it between these two teams?
I honestly think the patience. To be honest with you, I think we've seen a lot of really rash throws from both teams, and when we've seen the disc being really efficiently put into the end zone and really nicely put into the end zone, it's taking really smart decisions and weighing up how many defenders are in that end zone space compared to how many offensive receivers, and what are the odds. There's no point in putting a disc into the end zone when there are 3 defenders and 1 receiver. We've definitely seen that patience from Carnage, and we've seen it occasionally from Fishwick unit.
But back out on the field as Clark and Spendle-Windle play catch with each other. Clark's down the sideline looking to get it off with a push pass. Brave choice for Spendle-Windle with secure hands. Spendle hits Wiggly.
Looking to center it.
Wiggly doesn't want Chu. Looking for Dal instead. Favell maybe could have turned around to grab that D, but saw it a bit too late. Bird working hard to get open on White. Hits Dal again. That's where they want it. That's where they want the disc in the experienced hands of Matt Dal. As Chu working hard as he has the whole game. Sends it up to Austin Bird. And that's the receiver that Chu likes. Bird with showing off the speed in the end zone. Chu putting out a beautiful flat flick huck to that. It's one of his favorite receivers.
One very steady, quick huck as well, very accurate. Chu definitely showing his experience, having played both in Malaysia and having transitioned to Australian gameplay. He initially started off and developed there, and has come to Australia and has definitely been an advantage in every single team he's joined.
And that's a look that Chu likes, having played with Austin Bird on the ANU men's tribe team that won gold in the Gold Coast Australian University Games last year. So he knows that Austin's fast. He knows that they have the connections there. And maybe using that university experience on this big stage, this Division II semi-final.
Time cap has just sounded. So it'll be play this point +1 to the highest score. So it could either be game to 14 or game to 15.
Going down to the absolute wire here. There's only 1 point in it at the moment.
Will be a tense one. Lovely flat pull.
Yeah, Hatfield with the pull. They're going to center it to Williams.
Hoss deciding to let it touch the ground instead of catching it. Better safe than sorry. Moving it up this close sideline.
Yeah, Rabbers with the disc now. Hits Wilson. Wilson shoots it down the line. Big comes up. We're following the play. And Hoss manages to secure the point. We're all tied up here.
It looks like it'll be a universe point game, Dan. Do you think that these two teams will be putting out a strong line, or will be putting out a selected line, or will they just stick to their O&D lines?
I believe there may have been some discussion because we did start a little late. So I'm not sure if this will quite be universe, but I reckon both teams either way.
You are correct. I remember we did start around 5 minutes late, so we have around 5 minutes more before this game goes to points. However, we are at 13s, game to 15. It will be a very close one.
Yeah, I think both teams either way are going to be putting out strong line on strong line to try to close this game out. As we see quite a classic looking Fishwick unit O-line. They've had the whole season to... They've had this whole season to get these connections working. We just got confirmation that it is going to be a game to 15. So ignoring the time cap, as this game did start a little late, as both teams' quarterfinals were quite down to the wire. Big pull comes up. Dow's going to catch that one, not let it fall out. Send us to Spendle-Windle, hits Chu. Spendle-Windle unmarked as Hoss is playing a bit of a zone point, it seems. Oh, Wiggly with the bid, but he can't secure the grab. Bounces out of his chest. And Wilson hits Jacobs. They're looking to move it quickly, Hoss. This is a huge point for both teams. Jacobs hitting up. Hempel in the area. But Richardson managing to get the grab. And that is huge, and Hoss knows it. They're streaming onto the field, celebrating. Unit, hands on their hips.
Unit's hands in the air sometimes with O'Reilly. This is definitely going to be a tense point.
It's a bit of heartbreak for Unit there. They did come out on O.
It's a game point for Hoss. It could be the game changer point for Unit. We've got the game point hand signal coming from the game advisors, looking a bit like a dab.
And this is hugely exciting. It's been a close game, and it's coming down to the absolute wire. Can Fyshwick Unit manage to punch in this O point and bring us to Universe?
Unit really wanting to win this, really wanting to take it home, wanting to show the home ground advantage. Hoss not letting up. Carnage not letting up. Doing exactly what their name says and bringing Carnage.
Big pull comes up from Wilson. Spendle-Windle happy to let that drop to the turf. Centers it to Dow. Big bid from McCullough. He really wants that block. Bell and Gentle playing catch as they have all game. Dow back with the disc. They're looking to move it quickly, and Hoss has transitioned into a match defense now. Looking like they're poaching off into the lane. Spendle-Windle unafraid to hit the hammer, and so is Dow. Hits the hammer to Hempel, and that's gonna work. Fishwick Unit responding and bringing this game to Universe. Sorry, there's Gillett there, managing to grab that. It's a great grab by Tim Gillett. Beautiful throw from Dow. And we're at Universe here. This is a big point, and both teams know it.
Carnage singing, getting their hopes and their happiness up, getting their mental game up, solidifying it and making sure that they will play nice, clean, clinical offense. A timeout has been called. We've got a huddle going on in Unit.
Yeah, Unit's huddling it in. We've got our Hoss boys out in their T-poses before their huddle, really trying to bring that hype, bring that energy for this last Universe point. Got a bit of a sing-along. Sounds like a campfire out here for the Hoss boys.
Who knows, maybe they heard it at Downstairs Moose last night.
It's a great place to learn a few cracking classic songs. And we see Fishwick Unit all focused up.
Coming out firing, coming out with a strong line. Hannah Monty have given them quite the motivational chat, telling them how much they want this, what it means, and what they could do.
Both teams know this is crucial. Their season's hanging on this 1 point. The last throw of the dice.
This could be the difference between definite silverware in the trophy cabinet or going into the 3-4s, going for a bit of bronze.
We can see Unit bringing out some of their younger players for this defensive point, hoping that their athleticism will allow them to get the block, get the sky.
Hannah Monty dictating crucial matchups. Hoss have come out with a definite strong line. It'll be a very tense point. Both teams want this so much.
Yeah, Hoss looking to punch in their offensive point.
It's always the difference between wanting either a really quick clinical point that's really clean or really wanting to see the grind and the battle for this 1 point. but there's no bad blood on these sidelines. You've got the Hoss and the unit boys giving each other high fives and hugs.
Spendle-Windle putting up a big pull. That's going to drop to the turf. Another great pull by Spendle-Windle, tying them back into their end zone, but Hoss is moving it out. Pick is called though. McCullough with the disc, tapped it back in. Violation is called though. Player's very eager, moving a little bit too early.
Muscles a bit trigger happy, wanting to jump straight into it, but...
How could you not be in such an important game? White comes under.
Looking for that big throw, faking it off.
Fakes a huge throw. Looks towards the center. Looks to break it to Jacobs. That's one of the people that they're going to look to a lot this point. We've got the disc in Favell.
Hoss showing a lot more.
And Isaac Bell bringing the hops, smacking that disc to the ground over Jacobs. That is huge from Bell, keeping his team, keeping Fishwick unit into the finals in this game.
Getting that vertical leap over it, pushing it out of the way, moving onto the ground, running it down, not giving up for it on a second.
And Bell goes up.
Gives us that nice arch, showing us maybe he might have played a bit of basketball in his day.
Oh, I think that comes from his AFL background there. Bit of a specky over Jacobs. And this is going to be a tough spot for Unit though, bringing it in right on the cone.
Hoss was showing a lot of patience with that disc, a patience that I had not seen before in this game, really wanting to treasure it. Will Fishwick do the same?
Hatfield looking to get it off the sideline, struggling at the moment. Gets it to Spendle-Windle. That's a good safe option from Hatfield. Spendle-Windle looking back. Hatfield unable to get open. And a scuba comes up to Jacobs, who gets a hand on it but can't secure the grab. McCullough picks up quickly, wanting to move them. And Spendle-Windle gets a hand again. And White with the huge layout bid takes the game for Hoss. That's absolutely clutch. Fishwick unit are heartbroken, and Hoss are piling on top of White. He has been huge for them this game, and that was an amazing bid to secure the game. This game was going to end anyway. It was going to end with a huge play like that. And we can see those Fishwick boys, they are so upset, heads in their hands. But really, such a well-spirited game. Great plays, great bids from both teams. And White, that man's stat sheet at the end of this game will have been huge. He had an absolute cracker.
Both teams acknowledging how much they wanted this and congratulating each other on the fight that was put up between these two teams.
Yeah, and we see Hoss Carnage moving on to the finals. We'll be streaming for you later today. Fishwick unit dropping down to the 3rd versus 4th place games. And Hoss, so happy, as they should be.
This was a wonderful men's semi-final to watch. On our next live stream, we'll update you on the other scores that have happened throughout this tournament and bring you more information. But for now, we'll see you in the finals. This was Marine Schmidt and Dan Hellig-Smith. We'll see you after lunch. Have a good one.
Don't go anywhere.
AUCDII.TV